Okay, so the question is it a buy? Yes, that's the question. And more specifically, the question is Moderna stock a buy at this point in time? Now look, it's no secret that Moderna has gotten completely eviscerated in the market in the last couple of weeks. And I recently did a video where I said basically that I messed up because a few weeks prior I said that I thought that Moderna was going to beat its earnings forecast, and in fact it bombed in the sense that they came in light both on revenues and on profits. And in that particular video, which I will put above here and I will also put at the end of this video, I talked about what some of the risks and some of the upside was to their pipeline, and I told you that long term I'm still very bullish on the stock. And the video that I did right before that was Moderna's secret weapon, which of course is the personalized cancer vaccine, and I went into a lot of detail on that too, and I'll put that up above and also at the end of the video for you to take a look at, okay? But now the real question is, with everything that's gone on with Moderna and with the stock selling off tremendously from its high of almost $500 a share, now it's around $220, $225 in that range, is it a buy? Should we still care? Does the company still have a future? And should we be in the stock? The answer to that question is, it depends. And I don't mean the kind that you wear as an undergarment. I mean, it depends on what your orientation is, okay? And what I mean by that is, if you're a short-term trader, I expect that there's still going to be quite a bit of volatility going forward because there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of haters and people that doubt the stock going forward and say that it's overvalued. And then there's a lot of people that are still very bullish on the stock and are jumping in. So that causes tremendous volatility, which is going to continue. But the focus of this video, as the focus of myself and presumably most of the people that are watching my videos and this channel, we are long-term investors, okay? And we believe that the key to long-term prosperity and to long-term wealth creation is discovering great companies, getting in preferably on the ground floor, but even at midstream is fine, and riding these companies out and benefiting from their success long term. And that's what we're all about on this channel, okay? So if that's your orientation, yes, we are still bullish, and I'm going to go into the following reasons for that view. Okay, now let's not kid ourselves, okay? There are a number of risks associated with the stock right now, and it's the reason for the volatility and the reason why the stock went down and it continues to be volatile. These are just a couple of the risks. It's not all the risks, but these are the major risks that I see. First of all, certain countries like Sweden, Norway, Germany, France, primarily European countries, have recommended that people below 30 years of age not take the vaccine, and this is primarily because of concern of cardiovascular inflammation. Now, I took a look at some of the statistics regarding this and some of the studies out there, and look, guys, I mean, there's no question that there is a very, very small risk of this cardiac inflammation, but from what I could tell and from what I could read from the most major and the largest study that was done, the risk is exceedingly small, and even when someone does have a case of this inflammation, it in almost all cases has gone away in a period of 2 weeks to 2 months. Second risk, there is a patent claim out there, and I didn't really even know this until recently. The NIA, which is National Institute of Health Scientists, there are 3 scientists that worked apparently with Moderna for a number of years on this COVID vaccine, and they are now claiming that Moderna left them out as patent beneficiaries in their submission for the patent for the mRNA technology that went on into the COVID vaccine. Now, of course, Moderna says that this is completely baseless, and that while these scientists did assist in some way in developing the vaccine, the mRNA technology part of it, which they are going for the patent, was solely due to Moderna scientists, and these people did not have a meaningful role in that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But, you know, that's one of the things that's just like hanging out there as a risk that people focus on. And they're like, oh, see, you know, COVID's not going to be as profitable as they're projecting or that people think because of all these risks. Another risk is nobody really knows how much of the COVID vaccine the company will be selling in the endemic period of the virus. In other words, when the general population has the immunity and it goes from, you know, the pandemic stage into the stage where people are just getting boosters year after year. I personally think that this is going to be a significant revenue stream going forward, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's that uncertainty that causes people to question what the short-term revenues will actually end up being, which are currently projected to be around $22 billion for fiscal year 2022. All right, now let's talk about the upside real quick. Look, the COVID vaccine will provide, to a greater or lesser extent, near-term revenues and profits to the company, which have been and are going to be huge. In addition, I mentioned this in the last two videos extensively, we have near-term vaccines in our pipeline that are going to be very large contributors to revenues and profits within the next couple of years that will fill in as the COVID revenues fall off. These are notably the 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞 which I've talked about. There is a flu vaccine, which they're working on, that looks extremely promising. And then there's another vaccine that combines flu and COVID in the same vaccine. That's extremely interesting. And then the last thing, in addition to the 34 additional meds and vaccines in the pipeline, is the personalized cancer vaccine, which I have talked extensively about, and particularly in the video that I called Moderna's Secret Weapon. So check that out in the end screen at the end of the video. And I can't emphasize this enough, there are 34 additional vaccines and meds, in addition to the 3 that I just mentioned, that are in the pipeline at various stages of investigation and phase 1 through 3 that will be coming in the next 3 to 5 years. Many of these have enormous potential, and so this is an asset on the company's balance sheet that you should not forget about if you are a long-term investor. And I guess the last thing I want to say is that people tend to lose sight of this. The way I look at this company, this is not just a drug company, it's not just a biotech company. This is a technology platform, okay? This mRNA technology is proprietary to Moderna. That doesn't mean that other companies don't have mRNA technologies, but their technology is unique in the way that they map out the mutations on the genes and the way that they formulate the vaccines that go into their various products. And this is technologically revolutionary, okay? And you have to keep this in mind. This is a technology play. It's technically biotech, but this is a technology play in the sense that they do have proprietary technology in the making and manufacturing of these vaccines. All right, so for the question of should we go into this stock now, I just want to take, as I've done on other videos, I just want to take a minute and take a look at the technical analysis so you see how I'm looking at this stock, because this stock right now is massively oversold. Okay, here we are on my trading account. This is the 1-year Moderna chart. You can get a sense of what's happened over the last year. At this point in time right here at the end of March 30th to be exact, is when I first recommended Moderna at 124 a share. You can see the wild ride we had here going all the way up. We're feeling very wealthy in here, all the way up to almost $500 a share. That was the peak. I did a video actually when that came out. And then bumpy in here, and then it started selling off. And then with the disappointing earnings, quarterly earnings, and the sales forecast, it recently, early November, went down precipitously. Okay, here's the 6-month chart. Shows it a little bit more detail. But this has been, even from here, from the 450 mark, this has been some wild ride downward. Okay. Now, for those of you who have seen my past videos, you know that I use technical indicators to decide when to go in and out of stocks. Even though I'm a long-term holder, I like to take advantage of massive sell-offs if I can in a particularly good company. So that's what we're going to take a look at right now, the technical side of the analysis. Okay, so here are the technical charts that I look at. The first chart here are the Bollinger Bands. This is the 50-day moving average, this center line. This is 2 standard deviations above, 2 standard deviations below. If the stock pierces this line above, it's massively overbought. If it pierces below, it's massively oversold. 2 standard deviations below the mean here is a very dramatic sell-off, okay? So you can see here it is very sold off in terms of the Bollinger Bands. In terms of the slow stochastics, which is an oscillator index, this is another one that I look at. You can see at the last peak it was up in the overbought realm, and now it's down at oversold. Generally, when these two indicators line up, that is when it really catches my attention. Okay, either oversold or overbought. Now these other ones down here, these other 3 indicators are what I call confirmatory indicators. This one is the relative strength index, which is showing oversold. This is the momentum index, which is also in the oversold position. And the money flow index, which measures relative money flow into or out of the stock, is approaching oversold. So on a technical basis, we can safely assume this stock is extremely oversold. Okay, so the recommendation on what to do depends on your orientation. If you are a trader, you can see from the technicals this stock is extremely oversold, but keep in mind it could go lower from here. So you have to keep that in mind. But probability-wise, the stock's going to go up from here in terms of the next 2 to 4 weeks. All right? Now, keep in mind, very difficult to predict short-term movements in stocks, but that's, from a technical standpoint, that's what the market's telling us. In terms of a long-term investor, I am still very bullish and excited about this stock. I would recommend it for a long-term hold. Long-term is 2 to 5 years, or more commonly 3 to 5 years. You need to be in this stock. You need to be owning a meaningful amount of it. Don't bet the farm, because it is still a development stage company with basically one product. But if you want to learn more about this, check out the previous videos I've done. I've done a lot of work on this, and you should definitely benefit from it. Up here is the one I just did where I made the mistake and I messed up, and I made it right. I got egg on my face, but I made it right. And the other one over here is where I talked about Moderna's secret weapon, and that's going to lead to enormous profits in the future and could double the stock in and of itself. So check them out. And for now, Greg out.